Hello everyone, Ben here with a solo game of Helios. This is a solo variant up on Board Game Geek, and it's got a few extra bits added to it as per the thread on Board Game Geek as well, and I'll put a link to it in the description so you can check it out if you're interested. The setup for the solo game is basically exactly the same as a two-player game, which is exactly the same as a normal 3 and 4 player game really. You've just got your board to worry about with your city board, and then everything else is as normal. You will, however, need a d6 for the solo AI, because that will help determine what its actions are going to be, and then we can get started. So there is phase 1 where we do actions, there's phase 2 where we do characters, and then phase 3 is a bit of cleanup, and then we can go into the new round, and then 4 rounds and game end with a bit of bonus scoring. So to begin with, we get to roll off basically against the AI to determine first player. So we get a 1, that's not very good, okay, well. And the AI doesn't get much better with a 2, but still that's more than us. So the AI will get to go first and do its action first, and also when it comes to characters, it will get to do characters first. So to begin with then, we need to roll for the AI, and it's going to do 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to do sun movement, which is fine. We can just take that tile basically and place it down where the AI would normally have its board, as it were, and we can just put it down there. And then we get to do our actions as normal, and there are 3 to choose from, so you can have the 3 columns basically, and we could do building land, building buildings or temples, and sun movement. And the AI is going to get to go first when it comes to picking characters, so it may very well take off the character we want to get with regards to bonus points. Basically these characters have possibly some kind of activation bonus with sun movement increases and resources and the like, but mainly it's bonus points at the end of the game. So this one, for example, is just 12 points. This one, for example, is your sun movement final score is doubled for endgame points, and so on and so forth. Actually, that one might not be a bad idea to go for, to be honest. I like the idea of having lots of sun movement. We are trying to worship the sun, so it kind of makes sense to get it going around as much as possible and illuminating all our territories. So if we want to do a lot of sun movement then, and hopefully get this character tile, although there are other ones we can go for if the AI gets there first. But if we want to go for sun movement, then on our city board we've got this one that gives us sun movement, this one that gives us sun movement, this one kind of, but that's more the way of illuminating temples, which we might do. We might put out a couple of temples and get bonus points for illuminating them, so that might be useful as well. We did start with a grey, so we could probably build this building if we want to. We don't get black, unfortunately. Obsidian is not a starting resource, so we have to basically plant out some land and then grab this one later on. But we could very well do this one, which might be an idea. Unfortunately, the buildings tile is currently orange. And looking at the available actions we can do, at least in the beginning, the majority of them seem to be blue. So we kind of want to specialise in blue tiles to work our way towards hopefully a bonus action. But, well, orange might not be the worst thing in the world. There's no guarantee that the AI will ever come along and take this tile off for us anyway, so we may as well grab it, and I'm sure we'll get a bonus action out of it at some point towards the end of the game, if nothing else. So we'll do that. We'll do our building, so we have to spend the resource, and we get our starting grey material there, and then we can place out a marker onto our city board to show that we've built this building and now we can't do it again, and we'll get some bonus points at the end of the game, but for the time being we also get the immediate bonus, which in this case is 2 more points of sun movement. So whenever we do sun movement in future, it will now move 4 spaces, which is good. That's going to get it moving around pretty quickly, which is nice. So good. Over to the AI, which is going to do 5 again, so more sun movement. And the white tiles are wild action tiles, so they can basically count as any colour, especially useful for trying to get 4 of the same colour and getting our bonus action. And a similar thing applies to the AI. It wants to get as many tiles up to 4 so it can get bonus actions. So in the case of wild tiles, it will go with whatever it already has the most colour of. So that's fine. And then we get to do maybe some land. We can't build. We could do some sun movement and get the sun moving around, but it might be a good idea to get some more land now, and we'll grab that one, and then we can get the black resource we need, and then we can build that building and get even more sun movement, which seems pretty good. And we could place it, well, if the sun's going to go 4 spaces, although it could actually do even more, it could go 7 once we build this building on a city board. So potentially if the sun goes 7 spaces, it can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could have it stop there and it would illuminate both these and regenerate those resources. So if we place it here, for example, and then use the resource later on and then get the sun moving around, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can have it stop there. You don't have to use all your sun movement if you don't want to. You can stop short and basically try and get the maximum benefit out of the sun movement as possible. So we'll do that for our land generation, and that should be fine. And AI is going to do, it really likes those high numbers, doesn't it? So it's going to do more sun movement. That's a blue tile this time though, so it's going to go there. We could carry on with our blue tiles, and we could get another building now, and we could use our obsidian and cover up this one now. So more bonus points in the game, but more importantly, 2, 3, and now we're up to 7 sun movement, which is pretty good. And something different. So AI wants the land generation. That's fine. I think we're done with land for the time being. And it goes there. And then land is the only action that when the AI does, you have to then do something else on the available stuff. So sun movement and buildings, technically we think of it as the AI basically doing on its home boards, in which case you couldn't interact with it at all, so it doesn't matter what it does. But with land placement, it may very well take off some tiles that you might have been hoping for. So what we can do is we can roll the d6, and then we can count along 2, 3, 4 the relevant land tiles, and we can take off the one it stops on. So that just means that now there's no longer this particular bonus tile for us to grab, or at least we can only grab one of it if we want to do so, which is fair enough. And then our final action of the round, and well, we could do more land, but maybe not. We can't build anything else, and we definitely can do some more sun, or we definitely can do some sun movement. So let's go ahead and try that then. And the sun will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically with sun movement, you kind of have to hug your land as you go around. You can't shoot off wildly in all directions, and you go clockwise around the board until you've exhausted all your movement, or you choose to stop short. So we're going to stop here, and any land that's empty that the sun illuminates, shines upon, get some more resources popping up. And if there were temples on these particular tiles, we would then get some temple points, but for the time being, that should be fine. And that gives us a blue and a grey. It's not a brown and a grey, unfortunately, which would be useful for this building, but it's not too bad. And the black might be useful if you want to get more temples, although I'm not convinced we're going to go too terribly heavy into temples. I know what I forgot to do. I forgot to get some mana gems. I was so busy being excited about moving my sun around, I forgot to actually get the 3 mana gems we need for this particular character. So what we'll have to try and do next turn possibly then is maybe build a few temples, or we might want to get one piece of land and get a green resource out and get this building built just for the 2 mana gems we need. But that's next round, so I'll have to figure out that next round and see. So for the time being, we're done with all our actions, and then we go into phase 2, which is characters, and the AI is going to get to go first. So basically we can roll a d8, and similar to land tiles, it will then just go along and take off one of the characters. It is number 4, so that one is now at the game, and it takes off 1 character per round, so we don't have to worry about any more going out this round. You yourself can, similar to a normal game, basically take off as many characters as you like if you have the gems for them. We don't have any gems, so we're just going to skip that, and we're going to go first in the next round, so if we get the required mana gems, we're definitely going to be able to grab this character first next round. So now we're on to phase 3, which is a bit of cleanup, and mainly it's resetting your land tiles. So basically I think the rules state that if you had land tiles in these stacks that weren't already used, you can take them off, but really I just like to save myself a bit of time and effort and remember that if there's a resource on the tile, I can still grab it. If there isn't, then I can't, and that just saves myself a bit of effort. But the bonus stack has to get moved off, and then a new one flipped out because it's a random stack of leftover tiles, so that one does need refreshing, like that. And then we're good to go for the second round. So we get to go first this time, and we can see that possibly some more land might be useful. It's another orange tile which would help us somewhat with our orange tiles there, and we could use it to get the green we want, which might not be too bad. Yeah, I think that's probably not a bad idea. So we'll grab that. And we want to grab, therefore, then probably this green. Well, let's grab this green one here. It's in the immediate path of the AI's marker, rather than this one which has now been passed. So we'll grab that just in case, and we'll place it probably here. It is going to mean that the sun does take slightly longer to go round when it comes around this end now, but I still think that's probably worth it for the time being. And it gets us slightly closer to these tiles, which we may want to occupy in future and get 4 points for bonus scoring at the end of the game. Alternatively, we could also try and get a blue at some point, and we could get this one. I suspect is probably useful, which basically means when the sun finishes a rotation, you get double points for going round. So that is probably one we want to grab as well. So maybe one more land, another build. So 1 land, 1 build for the mana gems we need. Another land, another build for the bonus we need for going round, and then possibly nothing but sun movement for the rest of the game, maybe. Well, it's certainly an idea, we'll see. So that was the land generation we did, and then we're on to the AI, which is going to do 3, so it's going to be a building, and it's got equal opportunities now for either blue or orange, depending on where it wants to put its tile, so we'll just do a roll-off. 1 to 3, 4 to 6. It is a 1, so it can go there, like so. We get to do... Well, I'm not too fussed about taking this red tile if we're going to do a building. I'd rather do something else, and maybe hopefully the AI will take that off and waste an opportunity going for reds, which we have no use for. So instead we'll go for this particular land tile, or land generation I should say, and we can say it's a blue and we can put it down there, and then we'll get a bonus action after we've done our main action. So main action is more land generation, and I think we'll probably go for the blue one we need this time now, and placing it here maybe, or maybe up here. That also gets us close to bonus points at the end of the game, rather than say down here, which would get us a bonus resource, but I'm not entirely convinced we need a lot more bonus resources. I think we're generating, or we can certainly possibly generate, a reasonable amount with those tiles when they start getting illuminated by the sun moving around. So probably up here, and then maybe towards game end, when we're not doing much else, we could probably stick a couple of tiles here and there and get those bonus points at the end of the game. So yeah, we'll do that, and we can do a bonus action now, and your bonus action can basically be one of the three main actions. Again, you don't necessarily take a tile off though, you can just do it as it is. So I think our bonus action now will probably be a building. So rather than having to take this red tile off and not have a use for it, we could just do a building bonus action. And well, we're going to try and do, I think, both of these by the end of the round, but this one is probably a bit more pressing, I think, because if we can get this one immediately built, then we can do some movement without worrying about missing out on extra points. And this one can hopefully wait until the very last action we do, and we'll just get the 2 mana gems ready for the character phase. So we'll do this one as our bonus action. We'll take off the blue and the black, and we can get this particular marker out. So more points at the end of the game, more points when we go round and do a full rotation of the sun, and an extra mana gem, which I hadn't really factored in, to be honest, but that's only 2 mana gems. It's enough to get a character, but not necessarily the character we want, to be honest. So is it worth, rather than this building, which is just mana gems and not a whole lot else, is there another building we can go for which gets me maybe 1 extra mana gem and maybe a useful ability? Well, this one, but unfortunately that means that's infinite sun movement in the future, and you don't get points for crossing the threshold, so not that one. This one, which is unfortunately a fair amount of resources, and well, it's a fair amount of resources, but it is 1 mana gem and it is an extra sun movement. And we have the green and the grey, so basically we would need to do sun movement to generate either a blue or a black, then we could build, and we could do that, which would also give us a bonus action. Yeah, it's more resources, but I think I like the look of that one slightly better, to be honest. So yes, we'll try and go for that one. It is the AI's action though, and it is going to do a 1, which is more land, and it is going to get to do a bonus action at the end of that action it's going to do. So we're going to carry on with its land generation, and it's 3, so it's 1, 2, 3, and it takes off that black tile, so that is out the game. And then it has successfully accumulated 4 of the same colour, so it can do a bonus action just like we did, and it's going to do a number 3, which is building generation. So it doesn't take the tile, but we'll say it simulates a building action and just call it that. So good. And then we have 2 more actions, and the AI has got 2 more actions. Yep. So I think one of them's going to be sun movement, and we'll do that. And the sun can go 7, so we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and generate that extra resource we need with the sun illumination. And as it crossed this particular threshold, we get 10 points now. And normally you would have a little victory point bag, which you can put your points in for secrecy, but solo game, so we can just keep them out in the open there. And that's fine. So that is the 3 resources we need. So yeah, we're going to be able to do a build. If it has to be a red build, then so be it, but at least we'll get to do a build anyway. AI is going to do 5, so it's going to take off that final sun movement tile, which is a bit of a shame, unfortunately, but never mind. So we'll have to take this red tile now, and we can place it there. And then we can spend our 3 resources for another building. And 2 points at the end, 1 sun movement, which is great, that's what we're looking for. 1 mana gem, which is also great because now we can hire this character. And we get a bonus action of our choice, more sun movement, more land, or another building. Well, no resources to build with, so that's out of the way. We could certainly do more sun movement, or we could do more land, and we could maybe get a bonus tile, possibly. Like I said, I don't think we're necessarily in the market for more resource generating tiles. We've got a pretty reasonable amount. The character we're going to get will need a blue, any resource of our choice, and a brown when activating. Well, we can certainly get the blue, we can definitely get any resource of our choice. It's just the brown that might be a problem. But for example, if we place a bonus tile here, or here maybe, that would generate any resources we like, and we can just say that's a brown resource when it pops up. So yeah. So, sun movement or land? I think possibly land might not be too bad now. We could probably go for this one maybe. Possibly like that, and then the sun would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so it's taking longer to go around the more land you put on the board, obviously, but hopefully our sun movement is keeping up with that. And so this one is bonus points for temples in and around it. We could go for this one, which is bonus points for land in and around the tile as well. If we're looking to build here to get bonus points there as well, then this one might not be too bad, to be honest. So we might very well do that. And we'll have a sun movement of 8 for a future turn, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll still get round to the threshold, at least. Yeah, I think we'll probably do that one then, maybe. Or do we want temples? This is the last temple bonus tile of the game, so it's possibly now or never, depending on whether the AI might grab it. But we could do that, and we could definitely get a temple on the tile. We could probably get a temple here, and if we build a bonus tile, we could get a temple there as well. So that actually probably makes more sense. So yeah, we'll do that, and we'll grab the the brown resource we need for the future. Yeah, okay, I think that's pretty good. So that was our bonus action as per the building, and then the AI takes a final action, and well, 1 to 3 now, 4 to 6, so we'll call it that one. It doesn't actually make too much of a difference. Well, I suppose it might have done if it were taken off the land tile, but it will take this one off, and then these two are just discarded at the end of the round, because you in a 2-player and therefore solo game, you're only ever going to do you're only ever going to do 4 actions per round, so the final 2 in rounds 2 and 4 are just lost, and we don't need to worry about them. So that is fine. And then we go to characters. So we get to definitely do characters first this time, and we're going to spend our 4 mana gems and grab this character. And if we had the resources, we could activate them at the same time, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait on that one until a future character phase, and then we can activate. So that's fine. The AI can take off a character, number 1. So it's going to take this one off. It was probably not one that we were necessarily going to worry about. It might have been useful for extra points for bonus tiles, considering we're probably going to build at least maybe 1, possibly a few more of them, but that's not too bad. It does leave some others available to us. Let's have a look. So there's one for a bunch of land, which we might want to get, although that's a fair amount of mana gems, and that's not necessarily something we're going to look to get in future. And the ones that cost the least amount of mana gems, this one might be nice. It's just basically 12 points straight up, but it is a lot more sun movement. So yeah, if we can get 2 more mana gems from somewhere, then that might be an additional character we look towards in the future, but that's not a high priority at the moment. I think the main thing now is basically a lot of sun movement and occasional bonus tiles with maybe a temple chucked in here or there. We've got 8 main actions we can do remaining. So that's probably 1 more temple, maybe 2 more 2 more land builds, and then just a bunch of sun movement to get the maximum amount of points, which seems pretty good. So we'll see how all that shakes out. These tiles get removed, and let's see, so we're in phase reset, so we need an additional resource there, and then this one can get flipped over as well. And then we need 6 more tiles from the stacks, so... Oh, is that the wrong way up? I think it was. So that... Okay, that's slightly more reds coming out, so we might have to possibly look at specialising into red tiles now to get an extra action tile, or an extra action turn. Several more oranges, which is useful because we've also been going into oranges a bit. Some blues, unfortunately, which is not so useful because we don't have any blues to worry about at all. So I think we're definitely going to be able to get a bonus action from orange, and maybe red. There is some red with land generation, there is a red with sun movement, and then there's some wild sun movement up the top here. If we have to go for blue just to get the sun movement out of it, then never mind. We might very well be able to turn that into a bonus action, but I'm not 100% convinced on that one. So we'll see. The AI is going to get to go first, so it wants to do... Oops, it wants to knock over the entire stack of grey there. Number 5, so unfortunately it is going to take off a sun movement tile, but never mind. We get to, well in that case then, probably take the red sun movement tile, and we can go 8, so we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and yeah, I think we'll do the extra 8. We would get more illumination by stopping here, but I think these are all going to get illuminated at some point in the future anyway, so we may as well go the maximum we can go with the movement and call it that. And that's a further 10 points. So on a future turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, we're slightly short from where we want to be. That's unfortunate. Okay, well, never mind. There's not a whole lot we can do about it unless we can manufacture a sun movement from somewhere, but that seems a bit unlikely, so fair enough. AI is going to do number 4, so it's going to be a building, and it is going to get a bonus action out of its action tiles, so what would it like to do now? Number 6, so sun movement doesn't affect anything in the slightest, so that's great. We are therefore going to do maybe some land at this point, just to get another red action, tile. So we could do that, we could put out some land, and we could maybe start blocking this area now for bonus points. Which would mean that when we go 8 in future, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. Or we could possibly put one here, but I think with the few we're going to have left, we might very well try and get these occupied now. So maybe a bonus land tile. So we could do that. Yeah, I think so. If it's not temples, unfortunately, otherwise I might try and put another temple one there, but yeah, I think we'll try for that one. So that's our land generation, as per our tile. And the AI is going to do number 5, so it's taken off the blue sun movement, which we weren't so fussed about, so now we can quite happily do an orange sun movement. That's great, so we'll definitely go ahead and do that. And that gets us bonus sun movement, or a bonus action of our choice, which might very well be sun movement. So we get to do 8 now, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then a bonus could be a further 8. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, I think that's pretty good. What do we need for this activation? Blue, resource of our choice, earth. So yes, yes, and if we can generate a green, then definitely yes, so sure, So bonus action will be more sun movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Illuminates the grass for some green, and then we can do 10 points for crossing the threshold, which is great. That's all the resources we need, so we're definitely set for this character, for the next character phase. On to the AI, which is going to do number 4. So building, and it's going to get a second bonus action, which is going to be land generation. So what land does it want to take off then? 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 means it's going to take off the very first one there. Yep, that's fine. I don't see any problems with that. I think we're done with brown resources at the moment, so sure. And then, do we still have stuff to do? I've completely lost track. 4 and 4, a further 2 and 1. So yes, I think we have one more action to do, which would mean the AI has done all its actions and it was going first. Yeah, I think that's fine. So we have one more action to do, and we could certainly do... well, we could do sun movement as our final action, and then we could do even more sun movement as our very first action of the next round. It's not a whole lot in the way of temples, unfortunately. I would like to do some temples, but unfortunately these resources we have at the moment are critical for this character, so we need to save those. So yes, we might very well do another sun movement. It can be... does it have to be a red? We've got possibly this one, which we might want to grab, which is a red. So we could start a new column now, and it might want to be orange because there's some land generation which is orange, and if we're going to put down bonus tiles, that'd be fine. There's some building generation which is either wild or orange, and building generation would be useful for temples. So we might very well want to start maybe an orange column and see if we get extremely lucky with the colours that come up, and then we might be able to get 2 bonus actions out of our final round. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to do this one, this particular column, no matter what. So we might try and do orange and see how it goes. We might fail, but at least we tried. So sure. In the meantime, we're going to do sun movement. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could go one more, which again is cutting us off from one more resource generation, but I think that should be fine. I think that should be fine as it is. So if we do that and then just generate the stone there, that should be okay. Right, and we're done with actions, so on to characters. AI gets to go first, so it's going to take off number 3, which will be... that's a shame. That may have very well been a character we wanted to get once we accumulated some mana gems with temple placement, but unfortunately that is now lost to us. So that is the AI for you. We don't have any mana gems, so we can't hire any characters. We do have some resources, so we can activate a character, and it can be blue, brown, resource of our choice, which I think is green. Would we want to save the grey for a reason? Would we want to save the green for a reason? Is there a reason to save either of those? Looking at our buildings board, not particularly. So I think we can safely use either of these. We may as well use the green one. That'd be fine. And then this character gets to be flipped over. We get the immediate bonus of an extra sun movement, which is great. And now this is a bonus point at the end of the game, in this case for double whatever our sun movement steps are. So that's fine. So I think we're probably done with characters now. I don't think we'll be hiring anyone towards the end of the game and activating them for bonus points. So we now just want to probably focus on bonus tiles, these kind of areas of the board, and maybe a temple or 2. And that'll be that. So we're going to refresh the tiles. That looks to be right. Yep. And then we get to go first for the final round of the game. And we could certainly grab this very last sun movement tile before the AI possibly gets it, which should be fine. And we'll do that. And we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like so. Although, we were back here. We might want to do a temple build, because if we're going to go 9 spaces on a future sun movement and end up here, then we're really going to want to try and activate a temple if it's there. Which means that we could grab this one, like that. We could get bonus sun movement as our bonus action. This would leave this particular tile open for the AI to get though. So is it worth it? It's basically points now, possibly losing out points later. I think we'll probably do it this way round, I think. And we'll hope the AI doesn't grab this particular tile. If it does, well, we've got maybe some more bonus sun movement we can count on anyway. So we'll do that. We will build using our final resource, and we'll build a temple onto this tile. So that's more points at the end of the game, that's great. And we get a mana gem, which again is more points, but not too much, to be honest. And then we've completed 4 reds, so we get to do a bonus action, which is now going to be sun movement, and it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10 points for going around, that's great. And now we get temple points because this temple is now being illuminated, and it is 1, 2, 3, so basically the number of tiles in an adjacent. That's 3 more points. So it's not too much, but it's better than nothing, certainly. And AI is going to take a turn, and good, it took off land generation. So which land does it want then? Number 2, that one. That's fine, that's not something we were worried about. So now we can happily take this action tile, and it took off the red, so we don't have to worry about accumulating possibly red tiles there either. So we can do that. We can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and just generate a green. Unfortunately, more temples now is going to cost more resources. So the next one is going to cost us 2 resources if we build it. Or we could go back one, we could generate the 2 resources. Are we likely to get more resources though? And a building. Bearing in mind we also need to try and get some land for these bonuses at the end of the game. Well, if we stop there with 9, are we likely to get another movement out of it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just about. So I think, yes, we'll probably do that. We'll generate the 1 resource, and unfortunately I think it's going to be a bit of a wasted resource. We're not likely to get another temple out. But we can stop there, and then on a future turn, if we can get enough orange tiles for a bonus action, we can do 1 more sun movement, which would get us around to there for a final 10 points. I think we should have had 10 points for that previous movement. So fine, we're done. AI is going to do number 4, which is going to be, so now it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so it can take off a building tile. We could do land generation, like so, and we could place out a bonus tile now, and we could do that one for example, so maximum points for the bonus tile, and also 4 points for the bonus area there. And the AI is going to do another one, it's going to be 1, it's very accommodating and taking off all the colour tiles we don't want to see, so that's great. It does leave us in a bit of a pickle though, unfortunately. Well, let's finish up with the AI's land, so what's it want to take off? 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of solves the problem for us then, basically. Unfortunately, the sun was in the place where we wanted to maybe have put out our last bonus tile, which would have been this one for maximum points. However, you can't place where the sun is. I guess it would kind of burn up any land that you tried to stick out there. So we couldn't have placed there anyway, so having that tile placed out there for bonuses for no tile surrounding it wouldn't have made a difference because the AI took it. So for our final action then, we could certainly do that and do that, and then get more sun movement as our bonus action. But essentially what we have to kind of do is place our final bonus tile now in these two spots, because anywhere, well, we could still place it here technically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so these three spots, otherwise it's going to cause our sun to move around further than absolutely necessary. So we could place it here and get a resource. We could place it here for 2 more mana gems, which is extra points, or here for, again, another resource. And what tile would we like? This one, I think, probably, as a bonus tile, rather than this one, which is only going to be 4 points for resources. No, only even 2 points, because it's only on a tile. So I think, yeah, this one we'll take here, and we'll get a resource, which unfortunately is, well, no, we could place it here, and we could still get the same amount of bonus points, but we could also get 2 more mana gems. So that actually seems like the better option there. And we're done. So final bonus action. I think we did get 8 bonus actions even. I think we've been incredibly lucky with our bonus actions. And we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for a final sun movement. Final 10 points there, that looks pretty good. And then final AI action, which is going to be this tile. Nope, over there, which is good. And again, we're all done with action tiles. The 2 remaining one just gets put to one side and not used. We come to character phase, so we're in phase 2 now for the characters. We're not going to grab anything, and the AI, it doesn't matter what the AI takes off, because it won't affect us in the slightest, so we can just ignore the character phase, to be honest. And again, with refresh, we're at the end of the game, so the refresh phases don't matter at all. And then we can go into final scoring. So hopefully we did pretty good. I think we got a reasonable, well, certainly a reasonable amount of points from sun movement. That was kind of what we were looking towards, and that, I think that went fairly well. And also the bonus character we got, and maybe a handful of other bits and pieces on the board. Not too many temples, unfortunately, but never mind. So then, let's have a look at bonus scoring. So, 4 victory points for corner spaces, so we did get 2 of them filled out, so that's not too bad. So that is 10, and I'll put back 2. Bonus tokens. So unfortunately this one is only going to give us 4 points because it's just got the 1 temple, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. So 5 and a 1 back. This one is going to give us 6 points for land tiles itself and surrounding, so that's 6. This one, I messed up slightly. Well, it's only 1 point, never mind. So this one is going to be 8 points for, again, the same criteria. Like so. Unfortunately, we did build an extra tile next to this one, so we get 1 less point than we would have usually gotten. But again, it's only 1 point, so I'm not too fussed. So 1, 2, 3, 4 empty spaces surrounding it. And that is all the bonus tiles. Built buildings, so we get 4, 6, 8. That doesn't seem too bad. We'll put back 2 and change. And characters, so hopefully we've got a fair amount from our characters. So it's the number of sun movement times 2. So it's basically 18 points for 9 sun movement. So we'll take a 30, no we won't. We'll do 18, like that. And then finally 1 victory point per remaining mana, and we have 3 mana gems for 3 points. So that. And you may have something that gets you points for remaining material, but in our case we didn't, so this is just basically a wasted green material there, which is fine. That's not too bad. And then final points. So then, what have we got? We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 107. Oh, we missed a couple. I was thinking that was a bit short on the, that was a bit light on the points there. So let's just double check. 50, yep. A further 50, so that's 100. 122. Yeah, that's slightly more respectable than I was thinking. So 122, not great, but certainly not bad anyway. There is a score chart for the solo variant where basically you kind of have to get above 100, otherwise it's seen as a poor showing. And then there's tiers up to, I think it's basically 200 and beyond, where if you get that, then obviously I think you've successfully mastered the game. So yeah, not too bad. Possibly room for improvement, but that's what other solo players are for. So there we go, solo game of Helios. Okay, welcome back. On the face of it, Helios is, I think, basically acknowledged as not a very heavily interactive game. There is a bit of interaction with the action tiles, where you basically hope that opponents either take off the ones you don't want for purposes of bonus actions, or you can get to them first and accumulate the colours you want, and maybe some stacks might run out towards the end of rounds, in which case that might put a bit of a crimp in your plans as well. But on the whole, not too much there. And a game with characters, you may find, certainly we saw in the game, that the AI decided to take away a character we would have liked, possibly, before we got to it. So you may find that, yeah, characters may get taken away before you get to them. But I think, certainly for myself, a useful point to note is that I'll probably go for a character tile first, and then tailor my board to what I think I can get the most points out of a character from, rather than the other way around and then find the character you really wanted is gone. So again, not too much interaction, I don't think, and it can be worked around, certainly, wherever there is some, so that it doesn't really offer much detriment to your planned gameplay. But on the other hand, if you're looking for a fairly straightforward game where you don't have to worry too much about being mucked around, and you just want to basically get on with your little city building, then this game entirely lends itself towards that, and it's particularly good for sort of planning out which particular route you want to go for. Maybe you want to do sun movement, maybe you want to do lots of temples, maybe you want to do mana gems, so on and so forth. So you can kind of plan that out and hopefully not get mucked around too much. So either way you're looking at the game, that should hopefully help you decide what to think of it. There are some character tiles which do actually interact with opponents' boards. Normally boards are sacred and nobody gets to touch other players' boards. There are a few characters which muck around with taking out stuff and putting in obstacles, but unfortunately those are promo bonus characters, and the likelihood of getting those this late on after the printing of the game, I think they're going to be like gold dust basically at this point. So I wouldn't count on those bonus characters to add in any interaction if you're looking for a more interactive game. But yeah, it's quite good, I think. It does lend itself towards a particular path to victory. So if you can decide what you want to do, you can follow a specific path, and that helps breaks things up a bit. So certainly for myself, I'm quite happy to get this out sort of every month and give it a playthrough and try a different path to victory just to keep things interesting. And I think it's very good for, yeah, the occasional plays where you're not expecting too much from your opponents in it. I must admit as well that I think personally the game looks pretty great. Definitely the sort of the city board here, and just generally the overall layout of things. I think Dennis Lahausen's art is great in this. Certainly one of the things that initially drew me towards the game was the box cover. I don't think you can not look at that amazing box cover and not want to praise the sun at all. So there we go. As to the solo play, I think the AI variant or the solo variant mimics the game very well. Again, when it does building actions and when it does sun movement actions, again, those are stuff that we can say the AI is kind of doing behind the scenes on its own board when no one gets to interact with it, so it can quite happily do those. And then the only thing that it does where you have to have a bit of rules overhead is the land tiles, where it may or may not take off some land tiles that you were looking towards, and possibly character tiles as well. But that pretty much mimics a normal game perfectly well, and doesn't add any unnecessary complexity to the proceedings. So yeah, I think the solo game follows along a normal game very well, and you get a decent experience out of it. So there we go. Solo game of Helios. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.